Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to do the May 31st Spiritual Principle a Day in a meditation on this beautiful morning. Listening to the birds chirping out there and makes me want to get a canopy or something for our backyard so I can be out in the morning doing the meditations. Okay. The title of the meditation is Finding Balance in Our Lives. Each of us seeks our own balance that allows us to participate in the world without sacrificing our recovery or putting ourselves at risk. That comes from the Living Clean book, chapter 5, Bridging Two Worlds. Imagine life as a pie chart. The sections of this pie represent the different areas of our lives. We have a portion for Narcotics Anonymous and sections for family, friends, work, our community, our interests, and many other categories we could add to this list. While we often hear that recovery should be our priority, maybe even the biggest segment, there's no prescribed ideal balance of how much time we dedicate to NA versus the world outside of NA. While we were using, our addiction took up most of the pie. Everything else was reduced to a sliver. For a lot of us, when we're new in the program, NA becomes the lion's share of our pie chart. As newcomers, we tend to stick very close to the fellowship because it's suggested by our sponsor and other members, and because NA is where we begin to find comfort and safety in being who we are. But as we transform in recovery, our lives tend to fill up. Our pie chart diversifies. Even though our aim may be to sustain the same level of participation in meetings and steps in service, there are only so many hours in a day and space in our chart. As we seek to maintain balance in our lives, our busy lives, we may find ourselves obsessing about one area and neglecting others. No matter what we have going on, we have to remember that our number one priority must be to stay clean, or we risk losing the rest of the pie, along with our clean time. We can seek the balance we need without worrying about perfecting it. We can learn how to assess when things are off kilter, and a dose of the NA basics is needed. We can adapt as the demands of our lives keep shifting. We can enjoy a full life without posing unnecessary risk to our recovery. How's my pie chart sectioned these days? How am I balancing my NA program with my other responsibilities and pursuits? Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference just for today. Please and thank you. That's so interesting. As I was saying that meditation, it kind of started out as a wrote something that I always say, not really attached to it. But by the time I got to the end part, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom, right? That part, and the wisdom to know the difference. I saw this pie chart that they're talking about, almost like I would say like a I would say it appeared to me to be something that was being taught. So I was looking out at it, and I saw this pie chart, and I saw wisdom kind of float in, kind of like a PowerPoint. I saw the pie chart and then I saw wisdom kind of float in from the right into it. And my mind snapped into reality. And I said, that's it. Just in that little prayer, y'all. I saw that picture and I saw wisdom float in from the right into the pie chart. And I said, that's it. If I don't have wisdom to know the difference, my slivers in the pie chart get confused. Narcotics Anonymous, right? Staying clean is definitely a part of the pie chart. And when I first got here, it took up the majority of the space. It was that large section on the pie chart because I absolutely needed to make meetings. I absolutely needed a sponsor. I absolutely needed other people. I needed to do service work. I needed to fellowship and go out and see that, yeah, you can dance and party without doing drugs. You can have a good time, girl. Right? It was a huge piece of it. Then there was my job because I kept a job. There was me and my husband, my family, my extended family, and then my family, his extended family, right? And then there was our faith, our religion. There's so many things on the pie chart. But then when things would get off kilter, I struggled to understand that Narcotics Anonymous, that section that it takes up, right, can be reduced slowly. And I can allow some of my other responsibilities to receive more attention. But I can't let it get off kilter. I can't let the sliver of for recovery become just a sliver, the section for recovery become a sliver, right? A tiny, tiny section. But even as it changes, as the portions on this pie chart changes, I still have to have wisdom to know the difference of what I can change and what I can't change. My pie chart is something that I've created in life. That pie chart represents who you are. And because of being clean today, I'm in a position to look at my life with the help of these beautiful steps and spiritual principles. I'm in a position to look at my life and determine what needs to be adjusted. This is not a pie chart that is graved in stone. This is a human being. This pie chart represents me as a human being. And as a human being, I'm like a live project. You ever heard people talk about the Constitution of the United States being a living document? Basically, it's just saying it, yeah, it was written. It was definitely written at a point in time. And the things that are addressed in it were relevant to that time, but it was considered a living document, one that would have to stay relevant. And that was written so that it would be relevant over time. The pie chart is a living pie chart. It represents me as a human being. And so, quite obviously, if I come to Narcotics Anonymous and all I can do is think about getting high, that pie chart has to have a section for Narcotics Anonymous that's relatively large. But what happens when I enter into a sound relationship and I get married and I start having children? Don't the dynamics change? Or I get my children back. How about that one? That's probably more likely for us, right? We get our children back. Huh. Some men, I have a recovery home for men, and some of their experiences of interacting with their children for the first time in decades. and the system catching up and deciding that you're going to pay this child support back to us, right? I watch them struggle with watching the majority of their income go for a debt that they owe, but it's so far back. It's such an old debt. It's like, it's sad, but they stay clean. The pie chart changes for them. Now I'm clean and I'm making meetings, but I also have to work. I have to have income. I have to be a productive member of society. And this gives you the right? This meditation tells you, hey, look, however you came here and what was important to you then, check this out. It's not going to stay the same, right? This is a work in progress. And you need to understand that it's not going to be a perfect work, but it is a work in progress and one that we should be grateful for. But understand what you thought was important, where your priorities were, they're going to shift a bit. And when they shift, be ready. That's what this meditation is telling you. Be ready when things shift a bit, when other things become more pressing, right? Here's the point. We're going to give you all of the tools that you need to handle life as it comes on a day-to-day basis. As your pie chart begins to shift right in front of your face, sometimes without your permission, you're going to have the wisdom to know the difference of what you can change and what you can't change. See, if you're on paper and you have to go to drug court, you're not changing that. I mean, you can. You can violate and go back to prison. You can change it. But if you're going to change anything, change it towards positivity, not something that's going to be detrimental to you. How is your pie chart section these days? How are you balancing your NA program with your other responsibilities and pursuits? Because I guarantee you, it's going to happen. And you are ready. And if you're not ready, you better get ready. Because one thing we don't want to do is go back to the old us. We do not want to use. We never want to pick up again. But if we do, we want to get back here as soon as we can. Because sometimes we end up going beyond recall. The basic text tells us that. So if you relapse and that's your story right now, get in here, get back in here, get back to work, doing the things you know to do for your recovery. And your pie chart has just shifted, right? Narcotics Anonymous, once again, has become the largest section in your pie chart, and it needs to be. It needs to be because you need to stay clean and you got to figure out why you're not staying clean. And nobody can do it for you. You got to do it. But we're going to be here every day doing this meditation, hanging out. Come back here, okay? Like it, share it, do whatever you got to do so that you can see it every day. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so as soon as I post, it's there, right? Get a little piece of us before you start your day. My name is Mighty Stream, and I am going to have a beautiful day on purpose. I can't help but to. I'm excited. 5:29 a.m., and I've already had a beautiful time with you guys. Have a beautiful day. Talk to you tomorrow.